Hello Pokemon trainers, welcome back to another Pokemon TCG Pocket video here on iStarly TV. And today, as per usual, we have a brand new deck to feature. Now, this is not exactly my creation, this is a deck that I've seen kind of getting a lot of play recently. I think a lot of people feel as though this could be one of the best decks in the new set in Eevee Grove, and it is featuring Sylveon EX. Now, it's a funny one because it has, Sylveon EX with Greninja and Giratina. Kind of an unsurprising combo, Giratina plus Greninja has been a pretty well-known combo for a long time now because Giratina is capable of just kind of setting up by itself, and then Greninja can just sit on the bench and snipe away at the enemy with Water Shuriken, even though, personally, I am not playing Water Energy in my deck. Even though we're not playing Water Energy, it's still a powerful card. And I have seen builds of this deck that are playing both Water and Psychic Energy. I personally have not tried that myself yet, but this has been working decently fine for me, even without the Water Energy. But we might try, maybe I'll try some Water Energy at some point with it. But like I said, I feel like the only examples of this deck that I've seen have had both energy, but I'm sure there are people who are just playing Psychic like me. And I also have the beautiful shiny Greninja that I opened from the previous set. So Sylveon EX honestly could very well be the most powerful card in the set because of that ability Happy Ribbon. Basically, when you evolve Sylveon, you draw 2 cards. So you get a free Professor's Research, and there are some times where you evolve Sylveon, draw 2 cards, and then you draw into Research, so you effectively draw 4 cards for the turn, which is extremely powerful, right? So obviously we're playing 2 copies of Eevee and 2 copies of Sylveon EX. We are playing Rare Candy, so it helps us find that combo of the Rare Candy with the Greninja so that we can more quickly start sniping them from the bench. And I think at this point everyone probably knows what Giratina does. No explanation needed there. We got 2 Pokeballs, we got 1 Cape, 2 Research, 2 Cyrus, and a Mars. So Cyrus is perfect with Greninja because you can shoot them with Water Shuriken and then use Cyrus to pull that Pokemon into play and either knock it out with like a Sylveon attack or a Giratina attack. So that's a great way to kind of, work on the bench and then kind of force them into play to destroy them later on. Now, this meta, because of Sylveon, Mars and Red Card are actually cards that I kind of feel like most people should be considering in their deck these days. You could play both Mars and Red Card. Unfortunately, I did not have space for both. Red Card, the upside, of course, is the fact that it is not a supporter, so you can play it alongside a supporter, whereas Mars has the upside of making them shuffle down to 1 or 2 cards sometimes, especially in a deck like this when we're playing 2 EXs. It's going to be likely that there will be a point in the game where they knock out one of our EXs, so they have 2 points. Once they do that, Mars shuffles their hand and forces them to draw just 1 card. So if they're like holding on to some healing or holding on to some rare candies or evolutions or something, you can potentially really destroy their hand and win the game with a Giratina or Sylveon. So yeah, this has been a really fun deck to play. It is powerful. Again, it is also a pretty well-known deck, but let's kind of get to some games. Usually I try to feature decks that are maybe a little more unconventional, but I've been actually having fun with this deck because of the Sylveon, so let's try it out. And we have our first opponent here, and they have the same emblem as me. I changed my emblem. I wanted something different, and I have the shiny Charizard emblem, so I thought that seemed cool. And they have the same. Or, sorry, not emblem, icon. All right, this is a fine opener. Something that I've found is if you have to lead with Froakie, it's really awkward because, Froakie can attack, but actually this is a situation where we would have actually wanted to lead with Froakie. Maybe I should have paid attention. At the beginning, you see where it says waiting for opponent, how it's covering the energy. You have to look really closely to try to see what color of energy they're playing at the very beginning. So I should have just paid more attention to that, but that's fine. It might not end up mattering. Let's go ahead and Pokeball first so that we can, draw a basic and then we can research. We do have the Candy and Greninja, which is great. We draw Mars right off the bat. Unfortunately, we are unable to play Mars because we just played Research. This would have been a decent turn to Mars because of the fact that because of the fact that my opponent has 4 cards in hand, so we would force them down to 3 cards, so we would effectively be discarding a card from them. So the energy split there, I put 1 on Eevee and then 1 on Giratina. I wanted to potentially attack and use Collect, but obviously if I do that, I cannot use Giratina's ability, and I feel like I kind of need to use Giratina's ability. By putting the energy on Eevee, it means if I draw Sylveon, I'm able to attack right off the bat. And unfortunately, that's not going to happen. So let's see. We're probably losing Eevee unless we retreat. I guess something we can definitely do here is evolve Froakie into Greninja. That's definitely something we're not going to question. The question now, though, is do we retreat Eevee to save it, or do we let them knock it out? If we save it, we can potentially collect. The problem here is my opponent's playing Incineroar, which Incineroar has a massive HP stat. You know what? Let's go ahead and do this. This could be a mistake. I don't know. I just kind of feel like they have an Incineroar in hand, so that potentially shuffles it away. Here, we will go ahead and do the damage to the Torracat. And then... what else do we do? So do we save Eevee? That's the big question. I don't think I'm going to save Eevee, so I'll put an energy on Giratina. Now the question is, do we collect? And also, do we play one of these on the bench? I'm going to play the second Eevee because if this first Eevee dies, which it will, well, I guess I could just Giratina. I'm going to collect. I might regret this. Oh, maybe that was dumb. But the reason I did that is just because we want to draw into Sylveon. Like, if we can draw into Sylveon, that's actually pretty strong for us. They do have the Incineroar, and they're going to easily knock us out here. Maybe that was a mistake. At the moment, so next turn they can easily go for Scar Charged Smash. I think I have to play Eevee here. I don't know. I feel like we kind of messed up the sequencing there. This is the power of Incineroar, though. We do draw Sylveon, but the problem now is... oh, man. The problem with Sylveon is they can knock us out in one hit. But drawing cards is nice, so I don't know. Let's go Sylveon here, draw 2, see what we hit. I think what we're going to have to do is sacrifice this other Froakie. We could go Giratina, but honestly, if they have How, we die. We lose. So I think I'm going to retreat into this Froakie. I know this looks kind of weird. Get a little bit of extra damage on the Incineroar. And then go ahead and set up Giratina. I don't know. Maybe I played that wrong. I think I made a big mistake. I don't know. I mean, maybe I shouldn't have Mars'd, but that's random. Like, it's possible they did not have Incineroar, and then I used Mars, and then they drew into Incineroar, so I gave it to them. But it's also possible that they didn't even have it. Or, sorry, that they did still have it, and then they drew into it, so it kind of didn't matter. But they're going to cleanly knock out Froakie, which means that we are still alive. And they actually have non-EX Incineroar, which is kind of interesting. So this means now that we get to cleanly knock out the EX Incineroar. Oh, okay, we don't have any more. That's fine. So let's go ahead and shuriken the back Incineroar. Now here's the funny thing. It's going to come down to chance. If my opponent flips 2 heads, we lose. But if they don't flip exactly 2 heads, then we can win this game. I guess we might as well play the Giratina since both of our other basics are dead, so there's no reason to hold on to it. But we impact here, we knock out their Incineroar, and now we have to hope that they get at least 1 Tails. If they do that, we can win this game. And, I mean, they could be playing another Pokemon in their deck, like another Fire Basic or something like that, but I think it's pretty likely they don't have anything else. Oh, you know what? I'm dumb. They can't even attack. They don't even have the energy on it. So my opponent unfortunately lost this game. simply... Oh, well, actually, I was going to say, oh, that saves them, but we do have the Greninja. I was going to say my opponent unfortunately lost this game simply by not having 2 copies of Incineroar EX. Or, you know, they could have 2 copies of Incineroar. I saw a list online where it had 2 copies of Incineroar EX and 1 copy of this Incineroar. I don't know why. I don't know that Incineroar really does anything, you know, different. But honestly, the Incineroar EX deck has been good. I've been playing that deck. I think it was the deck that I featured a few videos ago, so if you want to check that out, I'll probably link it at the end of this video. But that's a deck that's been doing really well for me, and then, you know, with the Sylveon deck has been great as well. So that was a close one. You know, the Incineroar EX is terrifying, honestly. Like, it doesn't require much to get some damage going, and it has so much HP that it's hard to knock it out. And if you can't knock it out in one shot, often they can just do so much damage to knock out your threats. So I feel a little lucky that we got that win, but we did get it, so good stuff. And we have our second opponent, Yashi. I love that Pikachu card. It's so chonky. I remember it from like the original Pokemon cards that came out. That was a long time ago. Yeah, so we go first, which is okay in this deck, especially if we have Giratina. There's so many names. There's so many like 2 or 3 syllable names that start with a G, end with an A, you know, stuff like that. Like, it's easy to get mixed up, but unfortunately we're against a poison deck. This could be Darkrai EX, or it could be Ultra Beasts with Guzzlord and Celesteela. We do draw the Giratina, which is nice, and then we can go into Eevee. Awkwardly, though, that's all we're able to do here, but we do have the Sylveon, so for what it's worth, my opponent is also going to be taking a little bit of time to set up. Unless they're the Darkrai deck, they could just go into Darkrai and just start getting some damage on Froakie. Although if they're putting damage on, or putting energy on Darkrai, that means they're not putting it on Nihilego, so I feel like I could be a little bit safe here. If they do put an energy on Nihilego, that is scary, because that means they could very quickly knock out my Froakie. My opponent does put the Poison Barb on Nihilego, which I am okay with. We're not going to be attacking them anytime soon. Okay, we're definitely going to do this. Hopefully we can hit a Greninja. I was going to say Giratina now. Come on, Greninja, yes. Nice. Oh, beautiful. And we get to choose which beautiful Greninja we hit. For a long time this is the promo one. I had 1 promo and 1 non-promo just because it was cool, because they were like facing opposite directions. I thought that was kind of cool. What do we do here? Where do we put the energy? I guess I'll put it on Sylveon just so Sylveon can eventually start attacking, although we're probably going to be retreating with Greninja next turn. But either way, we get to throw some damage on something. At the moment, I'm just going to go ahead and throw it on Celesteela just to get a little bit of damage there. Because Sylveon has the potential to knock out Nihilego in one hit, I'm just going to kind of save that damage for Celesteela, but we'll see how this plays out. Because now they're going to be able to attack me with Nihilego, which is going to hit us for effectively 50. It's going to do 30 and then 20 for the poison, which is kind of a lot. And if we do, the problem is if we do retreat with Greninja, we have to put an energy on it this turn. So let's see, if we pass the turn, we go to 50, they attack us for 30, and then when they pass back, we are dead. Is it worth it to preserve Greninja? And like I said, if I do that, the problem is I could go into Giratina just as like fodder, like to let it die, just so I can get some more turns to set up. I don't love that though. Okay, let's put more damage on the Celesteela for what it's worth. And then I could also cape my Greninja so it does not die. I might regret this, but I'm going to do that. And then, I don't know, I'm going to put an energy on Sylveon and then set up Giratina. Is it worth it to play this? If I play this, it's just kind of sitting there. I don't know. I kind of want to leave my bench open for another potential Sylveon or another Froakie. So I'm kind of, that's why I'm kind of waiting. But like I said, it's unlikely they'll be able to knock out Greninja this turn, which is pretty nice. And now if I retreat into Sylveon, I can actually knock out Nihilego. Okay, they go into Guzzlord now. Oops. Yep. So now this is the turn where, well, yeah, no, I think that's fine to do. And there's Cyrus, which is not bad. Oops. Okay, so let's go ahead and retreat into Sylve. Cyrus can help us against Steela. Although, let's start pinging the Guzzlord, I guess. It's kind of awkward. And then the question is, something else we could do here is Cyrus in the Guzzlord. Is that worth it? Just to get some damage on it now? Or do I just go ahead and knock out the Nihilego? Let's knock out the Nihilego, I guess. Again, do I play Giratina? At the moment, no. Okay, I'm just kind of covering all my options. Knock out Nihilego, we do get poisoned. Luckily, because the Nihilego's dead now, though, we don't take 20 damage, we just take 10. Until they play a second Nihilego, but at the moment, that's fine. And we get to just kind of chip away at Guzzlord. I mean, you know what? At the moment, we can knock out Guzzlord. If they had gone into Guzzlord, we have 20 from Greninja and then 130 from Giratina, so that would have knocked it out. Of course, they could have some healing, so... Okay, now they play the second Nihilego. This is potentially scary, because, like, for as long as we leave Greninja in play, if they get to knock out Sylveon, we can just dive to like, a Cyrus. Okay, so now they can attack with Guzzlord. But again, I don't think they can do that. Oh, I think my opponent just won the game. My opponent just won the game out of nowhere. If they see it, they get to switch into Guzzlord with Celesteela's ability and then hit me for 120. And then we die to the poison. Okay. I mean, we'll take it. You know, that's unfortunate, but I guess that's a line that I should have seen coming. I just didn't really consider the Lusamine, but... Wait. What? Wait. Really? Wait, what's going on? Was that a misclick or what? What? What just happened? I mean, I'll take the win, but we shouldn't have won that game, unfortunately. But hey, I'll take it. I don't know what happened there. I assume my opponent accidentally touched the wrong button or something, or maybe they didn't see it. I have no idea what happened there, but yeah, my opponent was able to effectively assemble the win with Lusamine, thanks to Lusamine, and of course Celesteela sometimes just feels broken. Like, the ability to just move things around for free is so strong, but hey, I'll take the W there. And there is the deck. Once again, I don't know that I really feel like we need water energy. Just having the Psychic, it means that you can sometimes put 2 energy on Greninja or Giratina in a turn, which can be really huge for setting it up quickly. So that's why I like Giratina in Psychic decks. I mean, it's really good with Darkrai as well, but you know, playing it in a pure Psychic energy deck is also really strong. But yeah, Sylveon's great. Sylveon has been so strong, and Greninja is good as always, especially with Rare Candy. And yeah, this deck felt really nice. Another card that I've seen people play in this deck has been Pokemon Communication. I guess Iono is another option as well, just to kind of make it more likely that you hit the Greninjas when you need them. And I'm not even certain. Actually, you know, now that I think about it, I do feel like I've seen a version of this deck with just 1 copy of Giratina. So maybe 2 copies of Giratina is excessive. So maybe in the future, I will cut a Giratina for something else. Like I said, Communication, Iono, maybe more healing. Anything along those lines. But this deck has been a lot of fun. Just drawing so many cards is so fun sometimes. But I hope you enjoyed. Please leave a like and subscribe for more Pokemon TCG Pocket videos. And definitely let me know in the comments what you think of the Sylveon EX card. Definitely a sleeper for me. Like, I did not expect it to be this strong, and it is. So what's a card in the set that you thought was really bad, but it is actually really good, or the opposite? Let me know. I'm really interested in having that discussion. And yeah, have a great day. I'll see you next time.